right, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. We still have people coming in. Thanks for repping your city in the chat. I am excited to be here. Excited to be with all of you this evening. I think tonight has been a long time coming. I think a lot of things will be shared and discussed. So please continue to put your comments and eventually your questions in the chat box. Um, well, your comments in the chat, and then of course we have the Q&A as well. But I'm going to hand it over to our moderator, Gail Hill. Thank you for doing this.
Oh no, Gail, I think you're on mute.
You're still on mute.
Thank you, Michelle. Destiny, can you make me the host, please?
Do that. Yes, yes. Alrighty, you should have it.
Thank you, thank you. Well, welcome everybody to the State of Black Marketers and Actionable Discussion. We have a panelist of wonderful ladies today. They're going to give their great opinions, discussions, and everything on where we are. Just to give a little background, this year we've seen so many changes, and one of them is racial relations in the United States. Many companies have made statements, plans, and goals to help add more Black and diverse talent to their organizations. The main questions asked are, how do companies achieve their goals, and where are the Black marketers? During this discussion, the founders of the African American Marketing Association, the AAMA, the Black Marketers Association of America, BMAA, and Higher Black Marketers, HBM, will discuss how Black marketers and organizations can work together to improve the marketing industry. So I think right now would be a great time to just introduce our panelists, and I'm going to start with Michelle Ginome, the founder and president of the African American Marketing Association. So Michelle, all yours.
Thank you. Michelle Gomez, again, pleasure to be here. Founder of the African American Marketing Association, also known as AAMA for short. We launched February of 2019, and here to serve to foster the growth and professional development of Black marketers, creatives, and entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Michelle. And next up, we have Natalie Galette, the founder of the Black Market Association of America, the BMAA. Natalie?
Thank you, Gail. So I'm Natalie. As Gail said, I'm the founder of Black Marketers Association of America. Little background, I am in Atlanta. I'm born and raised, so I'm Atlanta people, whoop whoop. Just want to give a quick shout out. And BMAA, we started in 2017, but our history is really kind of interesting. I won't go too much in detail because I can be a little long-winded, but we are a thriving young org similar to AAMA. You know, we are established, we're a little bit different. We're kind of more of a virtual digital group, but Black Marketers Association is really here to support Black marketers in their quest to continue to grow in their professions in the industry, as well as help enable some companies who are trying to diversify more and to help Black marketers continue to thrive. So I'm really excited to be here this evening, and yeah, that's what I got.
Great, thanks, Natalie. And last but certainly not least is Destiny Davis. She is the founder of the Higher Black Marketers, the HBM. Take it away, Destiny.
Yeah, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm Destiny Davis. I created Higher Black Marketers this year, so we're very new. And I created Higher Black Marketers at the height of all the George Floyd protests. A lot of brands were becoming woke, and being in the agency world, I saw a lot of agencies kind of, you know, scrambling to get diversity and be more inclusive. And so one of the questions that I kept seeing is like, where are the Black marketers? And so I created a directory full of Black marketing talent, and that is what HBM is. All these acronyms, it's crazy. But yeah, so at the very, just at the very least, we connect brands, agencies, and anyone looking for Black marketing talent to that Black marketing talent, so people don't have to ask that question anymore.
Great. Thank you, Destiny. And I am Gail Hill. I'm your moderator for this afternoon, this evening, depending on what part of the country that you're in. I represent the marketing industry for restaurants and hospitality, and I am considered a free agent right now. So it is awesome to be here with these ladies to kind of talk about marketing and what we can be doing differently moving forward. So what we want to do is, if you have any questions, comments, anything that you want any of our panelists to talk about, please put them in the Q&A section. I noticed that somebody already put something in there. So that's where we're going to put our questions, comments, anything that you have. So I will be putting those into the conversation as needed as we move forward. So with that in mind, I'm going to start off with the first question. And this is for any of our panelists. What is the difference between marketing and advertising? We're gonna start simple.
Simple? That's just simple?
Yeah, that's simple.
Oh, this should be fun.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I think that's a good question, especially given the current situation. I think a lot of attention was centered around advertising campaigns or the advertising industry earlier. For marketing, in my opinion, from my experience, marketing is about creating the awareness, promotion, and maybe even sales behind a certain project, a certain campaign that you want to make visible. And I say campaign is more short term. It can also be your product or service, which is long term. But with that, you're creating many campaigns to increase the visibility of what you do. I'll leave it there.
Great.
I guess the way I look at it in layman's terms, so marketing is like an umbrella. Marketing has different sectors. So underneath, for example, I'm a marketer. Have I done public relations? Yes. Have I had to do social media ads, which is different from advertising? Yes. Have I had to do market research? Yes. I have done a little bit of everything. So I'm more of a generalist when it comes to marketing, if that makes sense. And advertisers are very niche. They're part of that. So you will find some marketers who have said, I have advertising experience, but they're not an advertiser. So I would say in that, to understand what Michelle kind of explained, the way I look at it is marketing can be an umbrella. So you're going to get someone who can do lots of different things. And sometimes we have focuses. So for example, one of my focuses is B2B marketing, but I do customer marketing that focuses on retention. I've done email marketing before, which is something I do. Digital marketing is a whole nother umbrella underneath marketing, where you can do social media, versus advertising, I think focuses a lot on how you promote something or a service or a product or a good, and you focus on that aspect of it, all aspects of promotion, versus I may focus on the written word, I may focus on email, social media, whatever it is that day that someone's throwing at me, I'm focusing on that. And I think about all of those things in that realm, but I'm not an advertiser. I'm someone who has knowledge of advertisement, but I don't think, that I'm like an advertiser per se. And Jaleesa, I see her in the comments, just want to keep that in mind. She said marketing identifies customers' needs and determines how to best meet those needs, while advertising is promoting something through paid ads, which I think is a really good point. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. Advertising is about promotion, if you look at it that way, versus marketing thinks about prospects' needs, customers' needs, but they do know some aspects of advertising. So just understand that advertising is one aspect of marketing versus marketing is an umbrella, I think. Just my opinion though.
Yeah, and I would say from like a standpoint of like who's in these industries, a lot of times, and I'm still trying to figure out the difference because I feel like sometimes they kind of blur. But when I think of advertising, I think of kind of like the whole team that's bringing together the campaign to life. So I think of the copywriters, I think of the designers, I think of all the people that it takes to get those ads out, versus like with marketing. And I was very intentional when I built Hire Black Marketers to not include the creatives. But I feel like the marketers are the ones that are more of the strategic people that go behind the campaigns. But I feel like it's kind of like a little blurry these days. Sometimes I say I work at a marketing agency. Sometimes I say I work at an advertising agency. It just depends on who I'm talking to.
That's fair.
Right. Thank you, Destiny. So Destiny, we're going to go and we're going to start talking about where are these Black marketers? And I'm going to start with you. Where should we be looking for this Black talent? Should we be leveraging the historically Black colleges and universities? Where should we, if somebody is specifically looking for Black talent, where should they go?
Yeah, so of course, come to our directory. It's growing, but when I see like recruiters reaching out to me, I usually ask them like where did you find me? And sometimes they'll say I found you through LinkedIn, through like a normal search, and sometimes they'll say that they saw me in their network. And so I think with a lot of the recruiting practices, there's kind of like bias embedded in that process, because if you're only finding people within your networks or within like an automated system, you're going to miss out on great talent. So I think going to HBCUs is really important. And I think that's really one of the best ways to recruit. However, when you want to recruit not straight out of college, it gets a little tricky. So like, I think you have to recruit within like Black organizations. So like, AAMA and BMAA, like you have to find those clubs in those communities where Black marketers are together. And so I think that's one of the best ways to find seasoned talent. So yeah. Okay.
Well, I just want to interject here real quick, because most of the HBCUs are in the South or on the East Coast. And being that I'm in the Los Angeles area, there's only one HBCU, and it's Charles R. Drew University. I'm sorry?
Which one is it? Share
It's
with the
Charles R. Drew University, Medicine and Science in LA. It's the only one. So if you're in California and somebody says HBCU, they're going to go, where's that? But if we are different parts of the country, you can find that talent. So if I'm not a part of the AAMA or the BMAA, where would I find that talent? Where should I go?
So I want to jump in too, because I think what Destiny said is really, really insightful, and I agree. I want to add on to it. HBCUs are a start. If that is where you're thinking to get all your Black talent, you're going to mess up. Because as far as I know, Destiny, you did not go to HBCU?
I did not.
I did not.
I actually got accepted into one, but they didn't give me enough money. So I went to the PWI on the other side of town.
I did not go to a HBCU. I actually went to Emory here in Atlanta. Michelle, did you go to a HBCU? So, and Gail, you did not either.
No, not out here.
I just proved a point. You cannot say I'm going to HBCUs, I'm going to find all the talent, because as you can see, the panelists, none of us have attended HBCUs. So if you're looking, right, and you're saying, okay, well, I can go to other colleges, there are things, and Michelle and Destiny, feel free to say, no, that's not the case. At least at Emory, we had something called Black Student Alliance. We also have chapters of NAACP. There's something called African Students Association. There's a Caribbean Student Association that will get your people of color. Like, you just have to be a little creative if you're thinking about going to schools. That's number one. Number two, there are other orgs that have been around. I know Michelle and I have started our orgs very, very young. Destiny, you started your database earlier this year too. But there are orgs like National Black MBA, which I'm a part of, love them dearly. I know, Michelle, you've been active with them before in Houston. I'm active with them in Atlanta. You can go and find wonderful, amazing Black talent there, and marketers are there too. There is the National Association of Black Journalists. There are tons of different orgs. I have actually a list on my website, no promo. I won't say the link, but I have a list of different Black orgs, regardless if you're a marketer or not. There are orgs where you can find Black people. Black people tend to build a community, right? So for example, the way BMAA started was a digital community. We're in different places. Once you get into understanding where Black people are, you can then tap that resource and say, hey, do you know where I can find other people? And we'll help you. We will advocate for you once we trust you. A lot of that has to build with that network. If I trust you enough to lead you to my people, that means a lot. So don't mess up that relationship, but really think outside that box. So to your point, Gail, there are National Black MBA chapters throughout the country, right? And National Black MBA, for example, they have one of the largest recruitment career fairs, conferences, conferences every year in the last week of September, because it's right around my birthday. Never forget. And that is a really good place to start. Then again, like I said, there are other organizations like National Association of Black Journalists. So sometimes you may get someone who's in marketing over there, because I thought about joining them. There are different areas. ColorCom is one of them. I'm not sure if you all, yeah, Michelle's shaking her head. ColorCom is for women of color in communications. And there's something new. Yes, ColorCom. Yeah, okay, great. Y'all hear me. What about Mem Connect, Minorities in Media Connect? So there are some marketers there, right? So I'm naming all these different organizations, to your point, Gail, where people are. And I will say that there are different demographics there. So you'll find experienced people, you'll find people fresh out of college, you'll find people fresh out of getting their MBA. There are so many different resources out there. You just really have to find at least a good top 3 or 4. And then once you're in there, you're making those connections, say, okay, so how do I continue to expand? At least that's from my experience and my advice.
We have a recruiter in the events, marketing, and advertising industry. And the question is, where is the best place to find creatives, producers, and C-suite talent? P.S. I have connected with a lot of diverse potential candidates, but I'm not finding a lot.
So there is actually, so my video cut off because someone was texting me. So Gail, if you can pass the host back to me, and I'll pass it back to you. But there's actually a Hire Black Creatives, and that was the inspiration behind Hire Black Marketers. And I think it's the same idea of like finding those communities where people are gathering. And so Natalie, you had a great point about like, yeah, you can start at the colleges, but you know, you have to be intentional with finding those communities where Black people are congregating. I will say this, I think now that brands are a little bit more woke, they can actually go and say like, yes, we want to find more Black talent. We want to find more Latinx talent. And I think before there's been kind of like this notion of like, we don't want to be accused of reverse racism. And we don't want to ostracize our white employees by focusing so much on seeking talent of color. And it's like, you have to be as intentional with breaking down systemic racism with like, as intentional as they were with keeping us out historically. Like, you know, maybe 50 years ago, I wouldn't be able to have the job that I'm in now. You know, I wouldn't be able to go to PWI, but now I can. And so those, you know, hundreds of years of keeping us out, it's going to take some years to get us back in there. So I think that these brands and agencies, they have to be very intentional about breaking down that systemic racism and be unapologetic with saying that we're going to find Black talent and like say it, claim it, and then you'll find us. Like you'll find us. So, yeah.
I also want to chime in because we have said a lot about creating the pipelines, whether from college or professional organizations, but there is a wide pool of diverse D&I-based recruiting businesses as well, right? So I think the number one question I've been challenging people with is like, what's your proximity to Blackness? So if you like, okay, well, if you're used to going to XYZ staffing agency, but you need Black candidates, maybe you need to go to a Black-owned staffing agency, right? To find those types of candidates that you're looking for. And I'm saying this as we're all professionals, right? So graduate degrees, 50K or higher, annual income, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I mean, bachelor's degrees, you know, and so also expand your horizons on maybe some of the vendors that you're currently using and be like, okay, I know we've been using you for XYZ years or whatever, but maybe you need to find a Black-owned staffing agency, headhunter, or another type of vendor to kind of help your business when it comes to increasing that talent pool.
And I don't know, Gail, if this is the next question or not, but I feel like this maybe is understanding that what you think is talent, right? Based off what Destiny said earlier about we've been locked out quite a bit. That means that the experience you're looking for may not be what you're gonna get, right? And because of that, that doesn't mean that they're not qualified for that job. So let's give a real life example. You want someone that has led teams. Does that necessarily mean that they're a good leader? let's think about it. If we look at statistics and we look at Harvard, right, they will say, a lot of our leaders are not doing a really great job in leading teams. Yet you have all these leaders who've been doing it for 10 years and doing it poorly. Let's just be honest. Remember, this is an honest conversation. I put it in my advertising. We're going to keep it real. So that means if you're looking for diverse talent, they may not fit in that cookie cutter box of the job description that you and the hiring manager have discussed. So that means for all the recruiters on the call, hiring managers on the call, you're going to have to think a little bit differently with what that looks like. Prime example, since a lot of Black people don't always have opportunities, right, to get in certain organizations or have the full-time experience, you're gonna have to start looking at their leadership opportunities from college, back to what Destiny was talking about earlier, right? You really should look at those entrepreneurial experiences and value those highly, because it takes a lot to be an entrepreneur. Like, it's no easy task. Michelle is an entrepreneur. Trust me, I'm sure what she has to do is really difficult. I don't mean to call you out, girl, but I'm just saying, like, that's not an easy thing to do. I'm not an entrepreneur because I know it's hard to do. Take a look at these community experiences, right? These leadership. For example, if you are in National Black MBA, no plug, I'm supposed to be over the marketing for Atlanta, right? That's going to be worthwhile experience that I can transfer. Those are transferable skills. That means if you're saying, Natalie, what do I do to find diverse talent? The diverse talents may be sitting right in front of your face, but because they don't fit in a particular box because of systemic racism, you miss them. So that means you're gonna have to change your mindset. Sorry, I talk with my hands, guys, but change your mindset so you can give those opportunities to Black talent, because you are not just finding people who fit in a box, because that's not diversity, equity, or inclusion. That's just checking a box off. I got 10 Black people, but they all look like everybody else. The same with any other groups. They all look the same because, they all have the same experiences. But again, like I said, Gail, I'm sorry, I don't know if I went to your next question or not.
Well, you kind of did, but I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. So let's say that a recruiter is looking for a specific talent and they don't see it in a particular candidate. Do you think it's actually upon the candidate to make sure that those transferable skills show? So it makes it a little easier for the recruiter, for the HR, for them to kind of see that, okay, they transfer versus, like you're mentioning about the cookie cutter?
Right. So because I think you're saying that because of what I just said, and Michelle, I'll pivot to you in just a moment. I will say that it's a two-pronged approach. This is not the candidate needs to do this, the hiring people need to do this. Both of y'all are gonna have to work together, because let's be honest, again, if we're talking about systemic racism, I read an article earlier about how Black people or Black talents having a hard time getting into the tech industry. Well, that's because a lot of times socioeconomic backgrounds don't allow us to be in these opportunities to know what that is. I'm very fortunate and very blessed that I have the opportunity to go to a top tier school where I was taught certain things. So I know how to do a resume that shows my transferable skills. But what happens to that Black talent who may not have known that or got the opportunity, right? They don't know how to sell themselves. So that's on them to figure out how to sell themselves appropriately, right? But then it's also on the recruiters to do what they always tell us to do, and hiring managers, informational interviews. You start on your time now doing informational interviews with potential candidates and say, hey, I want to talk to you about your background. Or you go and pull those resumes that you've rejected in the past and say, hey, I want to talk to you, and tell you what you did. Like, give that actual feedback. And I know y'all are probably going, Natalie, you crazy. That's a lot of work. Well, we want to break down hundreds of years of systemic racism, don't we? I'm just saying, we got to come to work. So that means both parties are going to have to really come in here, and we're going to have to really open up and really be ready to tear down that wall of racial barriers. Go ahead, Michelle.
So I'm going to speak as if I'm looking for a job, right? So if you know you want to get in the tech industry and you don't feel like you're up to par, I mean, you have to do your part by immersing yourself into that culture before you get the job. I think lots of times we're applying and we're waiting to get the job, and then we're going to learn. And it's like, you need to start learning beforehand. You need to start utilizing your network, your LinkedIn contacts, Facebook groups, and start reaching out to people and be like, hey, I'm a newbie, I'm looking to get started. What do I need to know? Can you mentor me? Hopefully your mentor can become a sponsor and create those opportunities for you. Because another thing is, and creating a resume, that's a whole nother webinar right there. But your resume is not going to cut it, right? Going through Indeed or whatever, if the tech job's even on the job board, it's not going to cut it. So how are you going to immerse yourself into that culture before you start looking for the job? And I do think we have to do a better job of value-based networking to completion. So what do I mean by that? I mean quality conversations, quality connections, um, getting rid of what's in it for me and trying to learn who this person is, learn what the culture is, learn what the industry is. And then when it's time to ask, you're prepared to ask versus like, hey, just, I got a degree and give this to me.
We have a great comment here. It says, it is not about making it easier for the recruiter or HR. It is best for the candidate represent their best self. And while we do know that, job boards, that has typically been a way a lot of people have found jobs, but if you're trying to transition to something totally different, it is about that network. And it is about, talking to someone that you would never normally talk to and say, what, like you were saying, Michelle, I'm new. How can, help mentor me to this position? And, it's actually out there. A lot of times we just have to ask for it. And that's the hard thing.
And one more thing, look, we have 49 people on this webinar, right? Like we got some people on this webinar. Like this is a good time to engage on this webinar.
Like it's some people. Me and Michelle are looking at the list now. Y'all get your network on.
It's some marketers in this house.
I'm just saying, some marketers in this house, and we hear some people looking for some black talent. Black talent. I see y'all trying to level up. Okay, so we're gonna say we're gonna put that out there. We're gonna drop that. That's it.
One quick thing. What do the marketing careers look like in the B2B space?
Yeah. Oh, wait, one quick thing, Gail, before we pivot to the next question. I just wanted to kind of like use myself as a case study. So I actually finessed my way into the advertising world because I had no real like agency experience. So I literally had to finesse. And I remember like the first job I got, I had never had an agency job and I didn't get the job. Like the recruiter gave me the runaround. But what I did is I sent one of the people that interviewed me a LinkedIn message and wished her a happy new year. And so then she was just like, hey, we have a 2-week project at Revlon. You come in, you do a good job. It could be a full-time thing. So I went to Revlon, did really great, and it's been 2+ years. So I think sometimes if you know you don't have that experience, you're going to have to flex your transferable skills as much as possible, make them shine through. And sometimes you just have to get your foot in the door and then just, finesse in there. So that's how I was able to do it.
I love this. It says personal relationships can really make a difference.
Yes,
we know
literally.
People, and it's like, talking to those people and saying, do you know someone, this is what I'm trying to do. And those, it's amazing how some of those doors will open because of those personal relationships.
Absolutely.
And it says closed mouth don't get fed. I love it. So marketing careers, are they changing now in the B2B space?
I think that's for me. But I'll say this kind of topic, I want to address my Black marketers, right? I see so many Black marketers who are like, kind of like me, who are like I was. I want to do consumer brand marketing. I want to be an ABM, an associate brand manager. I feel like every person, no matter what race, and this, just a big thing, my experience is I go to get an MBA and I want to live the dream. And the dream job as a marketer is to be an associate brand manager, because then I can be a brand manager, because then I want to be a CMO. I didn't get to be an ABM. A friend of mine is an ABM. I know a few people. Really good friend of mine is an ABM, has been for a while. I'm so happy for him. But I will say what I found in the meantime was something that I was really passionate about, which is customer marketing in the tech space, which is very different. So I think the reason why I'm addressing Black marketers right now is because do understand that things look a little different. So maybe you're like, I want to manage a brand, but why do you have to just limit yourself to managing a brand? You're great talent. You can do so many different things. And we talked about how marketing has different sectors of things that you can do. And you may say, I want to manage a brand because I like working on campaigns. But Michelle already shared earlier, you can do campaigns and be a B2B marketer. So open yourself up to opportunities. that don't always look exactly like you want them to look, because you never know, you may find your dream job, your dream career. But with that said, that would be exactly, someone just said there are multiple paths to CMO. That's right. Yes, I think that's Denise who said it. That's my middle name. Yes, I agree with you, because essentially, you know, I really want to be a CMO myself. I'm very ambitious, so I would love to be that. But I think that I can do that on the path I am. I think I can move to a director, to a VP, to a CMO. I don't have to be an ABM. That's just one way, you know. And, you know, Gary makes a good point. People don't think about B2B a lot. You know, students don't know, others don't know how to get started. But B2B is how I got my start. I don't know how to get into B2C. I think B2B is actually easier to get into because there's such a high demand for, high demand from employers, but a very low demand for candidates. You know, again, to your point, a lot of, yes, Jaleesa, I love B2B. I think a lot of people, again, go to school and they think, and I meet a lot of Black marketers consistently on a daily basis, and they're like, I want to go into marketing and I want to do media, or I want to go into entertainment, I want to go do sports, or, you know, certain things like that. And it's like, that's great, but you do know there are other options, right? There are other things you could do, like tech. You know, they know, girl, we just got to remind them. We're just going to remind them. Okay. So there's tech, you know, I mean, I'm not a fan of manufacturing, but that's my personality. I don't like manufacturing, but I love tech. So I'm always going to say tech is an option. But with all that said, you know, is essentially you just have to understand that, you know, you have options to be in B2B marketing and still be very successful, and not only just successful, but probably enjoy what you do, you know, and really be in a space. And who knows, if you're meant to go to B2C, you'll probably go over there. And I'm not gonna lie, B2B sometimes can be, you know, seen a little bit harder than B2B, because you have to market to other businesses versus marketing to consumers. So I don't know if Destiny, you have something to add to that, but.
Yeah, I definitely think keeping yourself open is important. For me, it's like I've kind of experienced so many different types of marketing, but I think that the more experience you get, the more strength you have in the industry. So like for me, it's like I can say that I've, you know, done social media marketing, but now I'm, you know, doing a little bit of email marketing. I'm doing some, you know, influencer marketing myself. And, you know, I've done B2B marketing in the past. I've done marketing for a nonprofit. I worked at the CDC and did health communication. So I think just making sure that you keep an open mind, and then also intentionally diversifying your work, it'll just make you a really strong candidate for the next role.
Okay, so we're going to talk about something that's fairly new. And this is Black LinkedIn. And Black professionals are using the site to call out racial discrimination in the workplace and share their stories of alienation on the job. And we've been hearing that they've been unfairly policed with their content that they've been posting. So what are your thoughts, ladies, on Black LinkedIn?
I think LinkedIn is becoming one hell of a shit show.
Keep it real, Destiny. Tell us how you really feel.
First of all, they done added stories.
Someone get rid of the stories, please.
It's too much. It does not need to become Facebook. The first time I got like an animated GIF on LinkedIn, I just knew it was going to take a turn. But I love LinkedIn. One of my mentors is a B2B marketer at LinkedIn, and I think it's a very strong platform. I do think that with all of the different, you know, I would say like features that they're adding, they're going to have to allow people to be their authentic self, you know? So if you want to make it like Facebook, then you need to welcome those, you know, informal and those real conversations on the platform. Absolutely. I will say that it's interesting because you see people sharing kind of like their liberal experiences or just their true, their honest experiences in the workplace, but then you see the conservatives are also being equally as aggressive in kind of like putting their stake in the ground. Like I've seen some people like make just straight out racist comments on LinkedIn. And I'm like, y'all are wild, because this is not the time and the place to be saying all lives matter. This is not the time and the place to be talking about this and that. So it's interesting to see on both sides, people voicing their real life experiences and then people being like openly racist on the platform. But I'm kind of like the fly on the wall. I'm just, sipping my tea and watching it. I try not to get involved in that.
That's right.
We
just be like, oh, interesting. Interesting.
I think I'm kind of along the same lines where I probably don't like or comment or agree if I see foolishness on any platform. But at the same time, I think it's necessary, right? I think it's necessary because when we think, I think when non-Black people think of the word racist, they're thinking of extreme things happening to a Black person, right? They're like, well, we're not lynching you, dragging you, or whatever, right? But racism is in a different form nowadays, and it comes into the microaggressions, stereotypes, can even say cultural appropriation at times, especially with hair. I know I've been natural for over 10, maybe 12 years. And I think if, Black women didn't go natural, Black men wouldn't be able to do things that they do with their hair now, right? Grow it out or whatever. But I also know that there's jobs I haven't received because I'm natural. I was natural, in the early part of that transition. And I think those stories are necessary, and they're necessary on a professional platform, because on Facebook and Instagram, we're just like, it's a loose connection, it's a loose friendship. But on LinkedIn, I know this is your career. I know it's this company. I'm having a problem with your company as an employee, not as a customer, but as an employee, whether I was going through the process of interviewing or if I left. And I think those problems need to be voiced in a tasteful way, in a very tasteful way, and that can be done.
I think with censorship, I'm very concerned. I was pre-law at one point. I don't mean to be so literal to the Constitution, but I just don't like that when we are talking about freedom of speech, usually people of color or any other rights, right, doesn't really apply to us, but it applies to privileged groups. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I do understand why maybe LinkedIn is doing that, because LinkedIn's, let's be honest, stakeholders, probably those companies that are paying those big amounts of money to get their employees recruiting and selling on LinkedIn. So they're saying we don't want, any negative publicity, because if they get negative publicity from LinkedIn, then those companies end up not paying LinkedIn. So I understand it's a numbers game, right? So I think what I have concerns about with LinkedIn, honestly, is first off, for you, I see people in chat saying, it's pretty bad, and seeing people's likes and things like that, even colleagues. I'll just say this: the unfollow, the mute, and the block buttons are beautiful. They're great tools. It's not to say, that they should be doing it, but I do it to protect my peace. So I just want to share that piece of knowledge with you all. I am now a proponent of the block, mute, unfollow, because it keeps me in a space of not going completely nuts or saying anything rude. But I do think that one of the things is that it's accountability. And I think that's what LinkedIn users are doing, is that they're trying to hold companies accountable. And the reason why, if you're a hiring manager or recruiter on here and you're like, well, they shouldn't be airing our dirty laundry, but here's the challenge. People of color don't feel safe talking to HR, because HR has historically been known to take up for the company. And there are HR people out here saying that our job is to protect the company. They're not saying it to your employees, but they're saying it to other people, and we're finding out. So why would I go talk to HR if they're really to protect the company? They're not here to protect me at all. So I feel I have no voice. And so I'm going to social media to create a voice. And that's what social media has done. LinkedIn is no exception, right? So when you then stifle the voice that I have in the one channel I have as a Black person, mind you, I have not done this, but I'm just trying to be empathetic to those who have, it is frustrating and troubling, right? So what we have to do, again, I'm trying to make sure we make this very actionable. If you know that there is a good opportunity where there are some employees who don't feel safe. How to create that safe space? Figure that out. Like, if you're going to have a conversation with people, be prepared to hear these criticisms of stuff that you and your company aren't doing appropriately, and don't punish them for it. Do not write them up on a performance improvement plan, a PIP. Don't stifle them. Don't take special projects from them. Don't question things that they have to say. Like, really trust them and say, you know what, I appreciate that. And even if you can't address everything that they're requesting, at least say, I want to continue having this conversation. I'll do what I can with you. Start being genuine a bit. So, long answer short, my thoughts on Black LinkedIn being censored because they're trying to find a voice, at least that's my personal opinion, not saying that, not speaking on anyone specifically, is that companies, again, should really figure out, like, hey, if I think that there's some issue, and even if you think things are fine, sit down and have a conversation anyway, especially if you're in HR, go to have those conversations. Rechange that mindset. And if you are not a person who's in HR or you're in a company, you may need to have a conversation with, if you have a diversity officer, if you have someone you can trust, and really sit down and say, hey, what is who is your main stakeholder in the company? And that answer will help you begin the safe space for people to really make change. Because I think that's what this whole webinar is about. How do we change this to make it safe for Black people?
I know another thing that I struggled with, especially in my 20s, and I didn't realize it until I got into my 30s, but it was like, am I the only one going through this? And like, that's the importance of Black stories, right? That's the importance of Black voices on any platform. I don't care, LinkedIn or hire Black marketers. Like, that's the importance of Black voices, because we suffer in silence. And the thing is, we feel like we've done everything right. Like, I got the degree, I got 2 degrees, I was doing corporate finance for 7+ years. And I'm like, how come I can't get a promotion? How come I can't be a manager? Right? I'm on the verge of graduating with my master's, and you're telling me I can't be a manager after I have 7 years of experience. Like, what else do I have to prove in order for me to grow in this company, grow my career? And that's where we get stuck, and we get shut in, and we internalize it. And I think now this is like the whole part of a revolution. It's just sharing our stories. And I think that's what people are seeing now. And it's like, YouTube, oh, this is what's going on. The racism is, I don't even like saying that word, but things are happening in the corporate workspace. I can't even say it's unconscious bias anymore at this point. I left my job. I was working at a law firm. I left my job because my boss yelled at me. I went on vacation. Some things weren't done because no one picked up the slack. And when I came back, he questioned me, and I was like, well, I was on vacation. Like, I didn't set this up, and I was on vacation, and he yelled at me. And I was like, okay. Like, it took everything in me for me to not to walk out on my job that day. But I was like, I'll be damned if I let anyone yell at me. And in 2 weeks, I gave him a notice, and 2 weeks later, I was out of there, right? And like, that's the shit Black people are dealing with at work.
That's real.
So do you think that Black LinkedIn, that particular platform, is the best way to share those stories, those issues?
I think it's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say yes, because it's a professional platform. Go ahead.
I think that it's probably the best way to share your experiences without being in an echo chamber. So, you know, you could complain to your other Black coworkers about what's going on, and you can complain to your family and friends, but you could complain on a platform where your manager may see, and then people at your job may see, but you're not really liable if you do it in a very tactful way, you know, being vague, tactful, whatever you want to call it. And then you start to get the attention of people. And so I think it's probably one of the best ways if you don't feel comfortable going straight to your HR about what's going on. But I think it's all about how you craft that story.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question here in the Q&A. It says, what are 3 things that Black marketers are looking for in a career?
You just want 3? That's all you want, just 3. Okay, listen. So, y'all, I'm a little casual. You know, I had a long day at work. I think my coworkers on here. Shout out to Ricky, at least Query, and Amanda. So thank you. I'm a shout out friend. I'm a shout out person. I like to shout out the people that are supporting me. Sorry if I called y'all out and y'all just wanted to be in the background, but I will say, oh, he says hi. I will say that one of the things, we're doing a survey with BMAA of our members, right? And one of the things I will say is, we aren't finished. I will release the results. We'll post it on the website. We'll post it on, all our channels, so you all can see it. So don't worry. But about 30% said that they want to be CMOs thus far. So Black marketers are ambitious. So they want opportunities. They want to see a career. I know a lot of times, and this is going to be a little off topic, they say young people, millennials and Gen Z, but depending on who you ask, they don't know the difference. So young people and early in their career, I'm just being honest, that, we just want to go with the best opportunity. It's not that we don't want to go with the best opportunity. And I noticed this with people of color, because Michelle, Destiny, and I think have all touched on it a bit this evening, is what we have to understand is that if you don't give me an opportunity, and Michelle, like Michelle said, we're doing the right things. I went to school. I went to a good school. I went to school again, and I actually racked up quite a bit of debt, right? I did leadership. I volunteer regularly. I do continuing education on my dime or my time, right? Shout out to HubSpot with their lovely certifications that they do. If you're a Black marketer on here and you're looking to get some more skills, always look at HubSpot. I need to re-up, my certifications, but that's a good way to stay fresh because you want to be really good. Yes, Team HubSpot all day. Google Analytics is great. Google AdWords is great. Again, there are so many things so you can be good at your craft. I'm all about supporting being good at your craft, but I do all of this. And then you still tell me that I'm only supposed to be a coordinator or a specialist after 5 years. I see job descriptions saying, I want a specialist that has 5 to 7 years experience, and I'm only paying you $40K and you live in a major city. No, that's not going to cut it. So Black marketers not only want opportunity, number 2, they want money. They want to be paid. Let's talk about the wage gap, right? The wage gap is a problem. And someone said, recruiters aren't looking for education, they want experience. But guess what? You could be doing stuff for 20 years and do it wrong. And let's talk about experience for one more second real quick. I had a lady tell me, not at my job, but at another place, I've been doing, webinars for 30 years. And I said, ma'am, webinars ain't been around that long. Stop. Someone else said, I've been doing social media for 30. I said, ma'am, Mark Zuckerberg ain't that old. Stop that. Don't do that. You have not been doing social media. And if you have been doing it, it's not on the platforms we have now. Try again. So when you say we need experience, right? Do you really need all that experience? Or is that just a cute number that you and the hiring manager decided to pull apart, right? Like somebody said she was marketing on Black Planet. Is Black Planet even still around? MySpace? No. I mean, I don't want to be joking too much, but it's the truth. Like, you need to be real. And you know what? The last thing I'll say is the top 3 things. So I said opportunity and money. The next one is to feel safe and valued. I can't tell you how important that is. If I feel as though you take me for granted, you don't trust me, you don't think very highly of me, and it shows. We know when y'all don't trust us and you don't think very highly of us, okay? We know it, we hear it, we see it, we feel it. And guess what? That is why your talents, right, a micromanager, Denise, yes, preach on it, okay? We out the door. And you might be like, well, wait, we did all those lovely little icebreakers and kumbayas that were really ineffective and probably very annoying to your people of color. Let's just be real about it. A lot of us don't really like them kumbaya sessions because that's all they are, is kumbaya. Okay. And you make us feel like a token. So just the top 3 that I got, they want opportunity to grow and to advance, money, and to be valued and to be safe. That is my 2 cents for the night on that.
That one piece about feeling valued is so important. I remember one of my first jobs out of school, they I worked at a small nonprofit, and they wanted to do like an excursion so we could go and bond. And I think they chose Ellis Island or something because it was the place where a lot of the immigrants came through, and they wanted to look for their ancestors' names on the little plaque, whatever. And I just had to tell them well, my ancestors didn't come through this way, so we could do something else. So it was just a matter of me saying, you know, hey, that's not what I want to do. And they respected it and they understood it. And they were like, oh yeah. So sometimes it's just like feeling welcomed and feeling appreciated and feeling as though your experience is being taken into consideration when they are building these team building opportunities and stuff. So I think that is so important. And that kind of speaks to the inclusion and belonging piece, because diversity is kind of like the first step. That's like the baby step. But then once you get the Black talent in, how are you going to make sure that they feel like they belong in your organization? Because if you don't make them feel like they belong, they are going to be out the door, and they may even leave corporate America altogether and become entrepreneur because they're tired of the BS.
A competitor.
So yeah, that part.
Yeah, I want to encourage everyone to figure out, what does equity mean to you, right? Because especially these big companies, they have a multitude of services that can benefit, right? But you have to initiate the access to those services, right? Whether it's employee resource groups. I've been out of corporate. I want to say not the benefits, but if you need mental health therapy, you know, different things like that. But what does equity look like for you? And one of my clients that I'm working with, because obviously we're in the pandemic, and schools have started recently, she hired a teacher to come to the office to teach the kids. So that means her employees can bring their kids to work and they have a teacher. Like, to me, that's equity, right? Because you don't have to worry about this mother working from home and trying to teach at home, or quitting her job so she can focus on her kids, you know, to get through this school semester and this craziness. And I'm like, that is equity, right? So I'm encouraging you, what does equity look like for you? And that's going to change. And maybe it's salary today because you want to buy a house. Maybe it's work-life balance tomorrow because you do have kids. But equity is going to look different for everybody depending on where you are in your career.
Okay, now this particular next question, I was actually sitting in a webinar when this information was actually sent out. And last month, Wells Fargo CEO Charles Sharp made a statement about diversity goals and Black talent. He said, and I quote, "We need more diverse representation on our operating committee. While it might sound like an excuse, the unfortunate reality is that there is a very limited pool of Black talent to recruit from." Now, given his statement about not finding Black talent, do you think there are other corporate leaders who think the same, and more specifically think that this Black marketers? Now, mind you, when I heard this statement, I was sitting in a webinar and it was actually hosted by Bank of America. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, okay, Bank of America, and I'm watching them engage and they are talking about different things, and Wells Fargo CEO makes that statement. So do you think that there are other corporate leaders who think this or feel this way? Because he actually said it. And although he did come back and he tried to clean it up, so to speak. But ladies, what are your thoughts on what this CEO said about not finding Black talent?
I know I'm making faces, right? Because and I saw Michelle shake her head. Yes, I was like, how do I say this? Yes, because let's go back to what I said earlier about these cookie cutter requirements, right? You want someone that's going to come in here that has had their mom and their dad who has done all these beautiful things and look wonderful. Because when we talk about these high level jobs, when we talk about the directors, the VPs and the CMOs that I mentioned earlier, right? Think about the skills they need. They don't need to know how to work HubSpot backwards and forwards. They don't need to know that. That's what the specialists and the managers' jobs do. By the way, I am a manager, right? Their job is to lead people. Their job is to be the people person. And who do you want up there with you besides the people that look and act just like you? Okay. So because of that, you think that we don't have the talent because you don't like our attitude. Yes, I'm putting it all in air quotes, but that's exactly what he means. I feel like when he said that, and this is just my interpretation, I said, you mean, oh, so you have talented Black people, you just don't want to hire them because you don't want them to tell you when you're wrong or when you say stuff that makes no sense. So there's a difference in finding qualified people and yes men and yes women. That's just the real of the situation. And I think that's what happens. If you look around in all these companies and you look at their, executive leadership teams, and you see that most of them are white and their things of diversity is a white woman or a young man, because I definitely worked at a company where their idea of diversity was having in the leadership position someone in finance who was what? A white young man. Oh, we're diverse because we got a young person. Great. But the rest of y'all are all white, except for the one female you have who's also a white woman, right? But she's in HR. But you never see, a Black marketer necessarily. And if you do, it's probably a guy because, Black women, double minority. So sorry, you've beat down that racial wall, but you didn't break that glass ceiling. Sorry, Black woman, maybe next lifetime for you. Like, that's just not going to work. So with all of that said, yes, they think that, and they think that for marketers, they put us in a bubble. I'll say this, I am not a comms person. There is a difference. That is an area of marketing. Have I done it? Can I do it? Yes. That is not my forte. That's not my strength, but I get people all the time. Natalie, can you write this for me? Sure, I can write it, but it probably would be better if you wrote it and I just edit it because it'll probably be a little bit quicker. You never think about that. Natalie, can you make this pretty for me? That is one way to piss off a marketer real quick, is to say, can you make this pretty for me? That will piss them off, right? And this is why you think that there are no Black marketers with talent, because all you think is we're the pretty department. We are the color department. We're the ones that make things look nice, when really we're the ones driving revenue. Those leads that the sales team got, that was because of that beautiful social media campaign that we did, or the SEO marketing that the marketing team did, right? All of those things are happening in the background and we're not yelling about it, but those are the things that we're doing. And that is how we're able to move up and become those directors and those VPs to talk about all of those strategies. Those are the things that we can offer, but you don't value that because we don't go golfing with you, or we didn't grow up in a country club like you did. So yes, you don't think there's Black talent, but that's because I came from somewhere else, low income background, or I came from the HBCU that you can't remember the name of in another area, right? Or because I wasn't able to get an opportunity to work in a Fortune 500 company, right? All my career. So I've only worked at small companies or nonprofits, so I can't do anything. Mm-hmm. That's not true. It goes back to what I said, actionable items, sitting down and checking your bias. So those coworkers I shouted out earlier, they're gonna get me again. This morning, we're on the diversity committee together, and someone said to us, what you need to do is have a type of, she does events, and I won't say you all go do it because I don't exactly know how to do it, and I could be incorrect. So I'm hoping they type in the chat and correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically an activity where you sit around with people and they talk and they write down what they think about groups of people. It could be, Black people, it could be Asians, it could be Native Americans, it could be whomever. And she said, you will be surprised, or not even too surprised, you'll be surprised how it's easy for us as humans to write down our negative connotations or our negative thoughts about other people before it is to write positive thoughts. Because she said, you're allowed to write positive things, but it's so easy to write, oh, this is from my experience, I think all Black people are lazy, or all Black people are whomever. But she said the challenge is to sit down and look at this, talk with other people and say, wait a minute, why is this my bias? Because this are things that I thought that I didn't think, but actually when you're asked about it, you think about it and you bring it to work every day. So then that's my biggest thing. Yes, other people think it, they just don't realize they think it because they think racism is a one level thing, when really it's actually way worse now. It's systemic. And it means that people are looking and going, you know what? They're just not a good fit. That's a nice code word for, they don't talk white enough for me. Back to what Michelle said, your proximity to whiteness. And what does whiteness look like? You're probably like, what is whiteness, Natalie? Well, don't get me wrong. There should be a standard of what professionalism is, but the way you wear your hair has nothing to do with how you do your job. Like if I have wavy curly hair today, I'm probably going to have straight hair in a few weeks. That has nothing to do with that campaign that just won several $1 million deals. That has nothing to do with that. Those two are mutually exclusive. But anywho, like I said, I get long-witted. So Destiny and Michelle, over to you ladies.
I'll say this. So someone mentioned, I believe it was, who was it? Stan Richards, is that his name?
The politician?
No, so there was like a agency founder, anyways, I won't call out his name. Agency founder who recently called a campaign, to Black. And so that same person, Ed Week also called out that that same person was having, like, as you mentioned, golfing excursions and stuff and not inviting the woman. And when you go on these golfing excursions, you're more likely to be promoted, get put at the forefront, you know, be highlighted for accolades. So all of this industry stuff is like a vicious cycle of like, yes, you think that there's no Black talent because at the very, you know, at the very micro level, you're not promoting and you are not amplifying your Black talent and you're not making them feel welcome so they stay. So instead, and I don't know who these PR people are, like, why would you let your CEO say something like this? Like, what? What they should be saying is
Black PR person, Destiny.
Yes, yes. What they should be saying is like, we aren't diverse. We're going to work on it. And we know that we should hold ourselves accountable for finding that Black talent. Not like, oh, we're not diverse and oh, we need to find the Black talent or the diverse talent, but there is no diverse talent for us to pull from. That's not what you should be saying, even if you think it, because you could think a lot of things, but you don't have to say it, you know? You could just hold yourself accountable and do the work. So I think that it's just a vicious cycle that continues to just kind of like go on. And unless, like I said before, the brands and these agencies are intentional about dismantling that systemic racism, so they're intentional about it and unapologetic about it, they're always going to be like, oh, well, there's no talent to pull from. They're going to kind of take the easy route out and just not solve the problem. So they have to be intentional about solving it.
So let me ask this question, ladies. So since corporations and businesses want to find that diverse talent, and they're saying that, you know what, we want to have a mixture of everything. We want more women. We want more people of color. Is that a sense of reverse discrimination if they are actually seeking out talent because that's what they feel like we need this diversity, so we're going to seek it out so we can check the box?
It's reparations. It's reparations.
Form of reparations.
Yes, a form of reparations.
Yeah, let's not wait. Hold on. Don't nobody say that that's the only thing we need.
Right.
The list, okay?
A form.
Just from real quick, I promise, Michelle, I'll be reverse racism from an academic perspective is not real. It's a myth. So yeah, go look that up. If you want to talk about it with me on the background, happy to discuss it with you, happy to give you some research and some other people talk about, but just for the record, it's not real. So feel free to go and target those other people and understand that, yes, one more thing is that it's going to feel like to your white counterparts or your privileged counterparts that, yes, oh my gosh, what about us? Well, here's the deal. When you have a cup, right? I have a glass here, and this glass has been empty for forever and the other one has been filled up. You're going to spend more time and pour more into this glass than you are that glass because it's full. So it's going to feel for a while as though you are doing all of this for minorities, but what about everyone else? Well, here's the deal. Because the system was set up for you to win, you just have to work within the system. We have to put our time over here. So equity, not equality. Note what I said here. Equity is going to mean you're going to have to work to balance it out. Yeah. And then once we finally change that system, which won't happen very soon, but it'll take some time, then you can go back to, you know, the new system or the new ways of doing things. But
yeah, anyone that says reverse racism has no argument because they're just looking at the surface level. If we go back to the history of America, America was built by politicians and businessmen, right? America is a white capitalist patriarch society. That system is in place, and I mean, here we are in 2020. So it's really about the system and not just an individual going tit for tat. What I do want to say, I believe I'll say Memorial Day weekend, we had Christopher Cooper in New York, right at the park, and then we had George Floyd who passed away. I could say from June 1st up until August 1st, I've spoken to at least 80 HR professionals or marketing leaders. And the number one question is, where are the Black marketers? I just discovered you. I just Googled you. So obviously there's been a sense of urgency, or earlier this year there was a sense of urgency. But yeah, and this is people from all over. So this isn't just about corporate finance and Wells Fargo. This is a nationwide thing, because I've had the privilege to have these conversations and emails, and these, yes, you're looking for Black marketers, but these are from industries all over. This is nonprofits in Philadelphia, food companies in California, agencies in Chicago. So everyone, or a lot of people, are thinking this way. And I'm like, we're out here. It's like, where are you looking? I'm glad you came to us. I'm glad you came to AAMA. How can I help you? But we are out here, right? So it's an ongoing battle. I'll say that. There's not a one fit solution. It's not something that you're just gonna, oh, I did my part and it's done. Your continuous work is the solution. So, oh, and then I'm sorry, one last thing. And everyone's not an employee also. Like, you don't always need to hire someone. You can outsource, you can get a freelancer, you can get a marketing agency or some creative agency to help you with a project. You don't have to, everyone doesn't need to be a W-2.
That is true. Again, Shari, shameless plug. I have freelance marketers. There's a link on blackmarketers.org. Go check it out. Hire Black freelancers, hire Black. If you're in Atlanta, there's a 5 or so that I highlighted. American Marketing Association highlighted Black-owned marketing agencies. So Michelle, you're absolutely right. Like, you can find it there too. And that also is valued talent. So if you decide, like Destiny said in her testimonial, that you need a full-time person, you already have that pathway or that person or that connection or that network. Yep.
So how, as we move forward, how would you like companies and or Black marketers to do the right thing now to improve the industry and their current climate?
Get involved. I mean, we have 60 members right now, but I'm like, if I know you, I'm gonna hook you up. Like, if that job come through, I'm like, hey girl, hey Natalie, check this out. You want me to talk to the recruiter? You want me to send this email? You want me to do this email introduction? So get involved. I mean, that's just the way I roll. But I can definitely say, if there's anyone in Houston that's in this chat, they know me, they know my work. I'm loyal to the soil. And when I started this association, I made it priority. So my members are priority. Like, God, my mama, my members, my brother. Nah. My brother's a member though, so he's right there.
It works. I got some homework for y'all, okay? So y'all probably be like, dang, Natalie's crazy. Yes, I am. And that's okay though. So for my HR recruiting people, this is what I got for you. 3 things. First off, I need you to do three informational interviews within the next 4 weeks with Black marketers to help express what hiring managers are looking for, help educate them, find them. If you don't know where they are, you can always ask Michelle, you can ask me, make 3 people you do not know, right? Don't just say, hey, come reach out, go reach out to them if you're in HR recruiting, help them bridge that gap. 2, schedule informational interviews with other people within the next 4 weeks to understand what experience from diverse candidates look like. So if you are helping educate Black marketers, then also understand, reach out. I will be one of them. I say that just because I'm thinking about my schedule and I don't want to, I hate breaking promises, but reach out to people within the next 4 weeks. So you got about 5 meetings in the next 4 weeks. Great. You'll love them. I promise. To say, what is that diverse, those transferable skills? So if I see a candidate that has said, oh, I started a blog, how is that important? Especially if you are an HR recruiter that does marketing, or you're new to that, but you don't know all of the lingo and what to look like. So you can learn how to be a better advocate for these talents that hiring managers are looking for. So there you go. That's 2. Number 3, HR and recruiting, invest in training. right? This is how you create that pipeline. So what you do is you say, we have a need. We are saying that we need our people to know ABC. What you do is you go to the hiring manager, say, here is the program. We want 10 people in there. We're going to target people of color. And this is our budget, and create an application. And then you can reach out to Michelle and myself, and we'll send it to our members. And then you can say, here's our pipeline of people that we want to accept. And then when it's time for you to go hire for these roles, ding, 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 you have a pipeline right there. So create the pipeline if you don't have one. Now, for my Black marketers, you guys got homework too, okay? So here's your homework. So I need you all to get into the group. There's a group me, there's a LinkedIn group. I need y'all to collaborate. You need to schedule one-to-one meetings, 3 in the next 4 weeks. I'm giving y'all quantitative numbers here so we can get some things popping, right? People you don't know, do not go to your friends, do not go to the people you work with before. Get the 3 to 4 people you don't know. I promise you they're not gonna bite you. It's virtual, they can't even do it. So go and meet people. Yes, if you don't know Michelle, you don't know Destiny, reach out to Michelle and Destiny. They won't bite, I promise you, they're nice girls. So make sure you reach out to them, talk to them. And not only that, if you wanna know what their experience is like, who their connections are, build that gap. It doesn't even always have to be that. Just have a conversation. The other thing is you have a story. So this kind of goes back to HR a little bit too. Black marketers, BMAA is putting stories up every Monday. We call it Melanin Marketing Monday. It's on the website. Go share your story, be featured. And that way, if you're Black, you're a hiring manager, or a recruiter, and you're looking for talent, it's at least 4 already on there. There's a freelance database. I'm literally doing the work for you. So you have your homework, but the last homework is always the fun homework, right? The fun assignment. This shirt I have, it says, I'm a Black marketer. That is on my website as well. Go buy you a shirt, have you some pride. There are like 6 different designs. Enjoy yourself. But basically, and if you are not a marketer or you're HR and recruiting and you want to be an ally or an advocate and you know a Black marketer, buy them a shirt. Ask them what their size is, buy them a shirt, send it to them. Guys, like that's your homework. You can't say you didn't get any actionable items to take away from this webinar, okay? Love you.
Yeah, and just the last thing, I think the power of stories is so important. So as Natalie was saying, people are sharing stories, and what HBM, Hire Black Marketers, is doing is creating a content hub that we're going to be launching in the next month or so. And basically it's a blog, but I think content hub is a bit cooler to say. We might call it like the Black Marketers Digest. We're kind of deciding what the right name will be, but it's going to be a mixture of like, typical blogs, podcasts, and if people want to do videos of them sharing their experiences, either being a Black marketer or their experiences with Black marketers or their experience with using Black culture in marketing. So all of those stories, we're putting them together in one destination. And so I think, for me, it's like, if you're a Black marketer and you want to tell your story, reach out to me and we can see what we can do. And if you are not a Black marketer, but you're interfacing with Black marketers, trying to find Black marketers, come to our site in a month or so to read those experiences so you can do a better job at making sure that you're recruiting Black marketers sufficiently, and also making sure that you're cultivating a safe space for the Black marketers in your organization. So stories, I would say, keep on telling your stories, Black marketers, and keep on listening, non-Black marketers.
Can I do another shout out? Sorry, y'all. I know y'all like Natalie, you and your shout out. So listen, my board member keeps popping in the chat, and that's what reminded me. Chi Johnson is on the board for BMAA. So thank you for being here. She is, I believe, a content marketing specialist at Intellum. And she is the director of programming. So, we have, and Brittany, Destiny, Brittany said, let's work together. I'm just kind of multitasking with the chat a little bit here, but I just want to give a shout out to my board members who are helping, BMAA grow. Justin Malone, who's over partnerships. I know that there are a couple people on the call who are recruiters who have been working with me and Justin on some partnerships to expand and let's really make some actual changes that are going on. But I definitely had to give at least a shout out to Chi because I see her actively here, and all my other board members, Brandon Beal, of course, Nicole, my sister, who designed these shirts, as well as my website. So yeah, shout out to my sister. She's amazing. And hi, Mom, of course, had to do the hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. I'm done, y'all.
A couple more questions. How do Black marketers become part of these diversity supply chains, especially as contractors, freelancers, entrepreneurs? Michelle, can you answer that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's been, at least from my experience, it's been tough. Because we have a job board, so recruiters see that they want to post a job, people go, they apply for the jobs and all that stuff. Supply diversity has been a bit of a challenge. I have spoken to some great companies, Visa, MasterCard, Walmart, HP, and they're really interested in talent. And I'm like, hey, what about supplier diversity? Because we do have it's like 50-50 professionals and entrepreneurs. And the thing is that goes through another person. So the opportunities are there. It's not as plentiful, but they are there. At the same time, anything that I get as far as RFPs, that goes to members only. And that's in our private Facebook group. So that's not going to be posted online or through email. So, I just try my thing when I created this, it's about presenting opportunities, and I'm all about creating a collaborative community. One thing I have seen, I'm going a little off topic here, but one thing I have seen, and white people do this very, very well. They will collaborate on a project, get their money, and go back to doing their own thing and collaborate again and get some more money and merge with another company. And we have to develop that same mindset. And I think sometimes we have to think about 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And I'll stop there.
Okay. Do you find a Black tax as women in the industry and marketing, and for you as an individual, do you feel like you are seen as being angry when you are assertive and getting the job done? Oh, I'll open that up for all the ladies. Anybody on the panel want to take that one? Because there are times where, when we are assertive, when we are, take control, we are coined as, angry woman.
Destiny? You look like
so I feel like and I'm trying to do a better job at like kind of letting people's thoughts be their own business. And so I think moving forward, unless someone says that you're being aggressive or they make a comment about, your attitude or your tone, that's their business. I think that we all know that when women are leaders or they're taking a leadership role, they're usually seen as more aggressive than men, just because we've been taught not to be that leader. So I think for me, I'm just like, okay, who cares? They think I'm being aggressive. Like I said what I said, So I think that, their opinion, that's none of my business.
I think I have the opposite. I feel like, at least in my last job, I was at the law firm for 2 years, and I kind of felt like it was a feeling of less than. And my thing was like, how can you hire me but not value my opinion? Like, what am I here for? Like, if you need assistance, say you need an assistant. That way I can withdraw my offer, and And then there was several things that transpired, but after 2 years, I was just like, there's nothing else I can do here, because very few of my ideas were implemented.
I feel all of the above. I'm very conscious of how I speak. I'm a very loud person. I could tell you a lot of flaws that I'm very self-aware of. I'm okay with that. I love me. I mean, I think that happens over time for people, but as Black women, I'm always supporting Black women. I think Black women are, sometimes very undervalued. And I think a lot of times what I always hear is people mix up our aggression for passion, right? Like we're very passionate people. But I mean, to be biased, and I admit it right now, this is a flaw, but I work on it. Black women started society. Like everything started from us, right? So of course we're going to be a little bit more passionate about things. Of course we're going to say, listen, you know, this is the way things need to be done because we are naturally born leaders. And that again is a personal bias. I understand if you disagree, no problem. I'm still gonna, you know, feel the way I feel. As Destiny said, you know, your opinion is your business, which I thought was very eloquently stated. But I also feel as though the reason why the passion will creep up is because a lot of times I feel that I'm less than because you question everything that I do. If I meet the standards that you put in front of me, don't move the finish line. If you tell me that the goal of this campaign is to get so many people sign up for demos, mind you, I don't do that right now because I'm in customer marketing, but I'm throwing it for an example, to do 100 demos in the next hour, right? So I get 120 and you say, oh, but guess what? Only 80 of them did, you know, actually came to the demo. You told me you just wanted 100 demos scheduled. I gave you more than that. And you said, well, that's still not good enough because they didn't actually come. If you told me that from the beginning, I could have focused on that more. But instead, what you did was you changed the expectation after I met your goal. That's a problem. And it happens a lot with Black women. I've had it done to me multiple times. It happens continuously. Michelle is shaking her head. Stop doing that. Grace is saying it's happened to her thousands of times. And I'm not going to lie, like Grace, we have this conversation in the BMAA group me a lot. Like it happens more times than it should. Don't make a goal and then raise it and say, oh, well, because we always should try to be better. But what you're doing, especially to Black women and people of color, or Black men too, shout out to my Black men, I'm just saying, like, what happens is that you start to basically tell us nothing you do will ever be good enough. We gave you something we thought you couldn't do, and now we're not happy that you succeeded. So we have to find another way to keep you down. That is what you're saying, even if you don't mean it. So that's when I start getting passionate, defending myself because no one is on my team. And that is what I think is really important to take away from this webinar. A lot of things we said you should take away, definitely do my homework. But I think it's really important, yes, I'm serious about my homework, to take away is that Black people, again, they don't feel safe. That's why they're going to LinkedIn and they're speaking out. They're not going to HR. Make them feel safe. Be on their side, be on their team, and not because they're Black, but recognize that talent and check your personal biases. Don't make that my job and my responsibility. I have enough going on against me. And when I'm outside of work, I'm bringing a lot of things inside of work that you will never, ever know or see or experience. You will never know what it's like to be called a B because you're Black. You will never know what that means. Some of the things that we get called as Black women and Black men, you will never understand what that means. So have some compassion, right? Or Denisha said, when you crush your performance goal and more gets added to your plate, that's not how you show appreciation. Ask that person what they want. How do you take them to that next level? So yes, I get a feeling of being aggressive, so I'm extra nice. And then when I'm nice, I'm not seen as that leader. So you've now set me up to fail.
Yeah. And I would say one more thing is that, especially as Black women, we're always the ones to be the social justice warriors in the room, especially in the sense of being a marketer. And I work in advertising. So it's like, if I see something that is remotely racist in a campaign or in a creative, I'm going to say something. And it's gotten to the point where, like, even when a client says something that's racist, then it's like, who's going to address that, you know? So I think that's one of the frustrating things that I've kind of noticed is that you, as a Black woman, are going to always be well aware of all the different isms. Like, I am so aware, especially as a sociology major, I am aware of all the ways that someone can be oppressed. If you're Native American, if you're part of the Latinx community, if you are trans, I am so well versed in all the different ways that you can oppress someone in a campaign that I'm always going to call it out. And I'm always going to be that one that's either labeled too sensitive or a social justice warrior in the office, or when microaggressions happen in the office. So I think we always get, I feel like, placed in that aggressive box because we are the ones advocating for other people, even when they don't want to advocate for themselves. And I've seen that time and time again.
Okay, well, ladies, we've gotten through all the questions, even the ones in our Q&A. I just want to give each one of you ladies 2 minutes for something that each person should take away, that they should remember about the AAMA, BMAA, hire Black marketers? What's something that each one of you wants each person to just take away from this webinar today? We'll start with you, Michelle.
She did not want to start. I could see it on her face. She's
It's like, I don't know what to say, but then there's so much to say. So I'll say one thing is, we are out here. Black marketers are out here. You have communities. It's nothing but love between me and Natalie, me and Destiny. So don't feel like it has to be either or. It can be and both.
I'm in AAMA. Let's just be real.
A lot, and that's a whole nother thing. A lot of people were like, should I join you or AMA Houston or just AMA? I'm like, and both, right? I'm gonna be polite. So a lot of our communities overlap. So at the end of the day, you're gonna get value, you're gonna get connection. Hopefully we can hook you up with a job or opportunity or two. So get involved as a member. Keep the conversation going, take action, become a sponsor. We're here to help.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Destiny, what's something, your 2 minutes, that you want us to leave with Hire Black marketers?
Yeah, so I will just say this, like cheers to like being a marketer or just being involved in marketing advertising, because I think it's one of the best careers in the world. Like I can honestly say that like I love it here and I hate it here at the same time, but we literally have the power to change and transform culture. Like marketing and advertising is so transformative in society. Like we literally have the power to transform culture, and that is power. And this culture that's being used, a lot of it is coming from Black people. And the research is there. It's coming from us. So why aren't we in these seats? And not just why aren't we in these seats, why aren't we in the decision-making seats? That's a problem. And so we have to be very intentional to make this right. And we also have to be very intentional in making sure that we take up those seats and we keep on going to the top so we can be the ones making the good decisions, the important decisions. So I think for me, as you know, as much as I complain about, you know, the stuff that goes on in this industry, I love it here. And I just want to continue to see us be represented in an industry that is taking from us. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Are we going to finish with you, Natalie?
No pressure, right? Last word. Okay, so I support my lovely ladies, Michelle and Destiny, and obviously Gail. Thank you so much for being here, hosting this for us. We greatly appreciate you and your time and your patience. I know I'm a big personality to deal with, so special thank you again to everybody on here and on this call. My last little 2 cents about BMAA, we're a little different. So I agree with Michelle, join both, because you know, one may work for you, one may not. You may could say, Michelle got a little bit more sense than Natalie, so I'm gonna rock with her. And I won't be offended at all, because like I said, I'm a lot. But no, seriously though, I think, you know, we're doing a lot of different things. Like I said, we have the freelance database. We have, you know, different orgs on there. So even if you have non-marketing friends on there, there is a professional org space. So there is National Association of Black Accountants on there. So hiring managers, recruiters, and Black people who are on there, go look, see it, check it out. For Black women on the call, there's Hire Black Now that is on the page. So go check it out. Like, don't just get on the page and then bounce. I'm not saying that so you could drive up my traffic. I'm saying that because there are resources out there. Go out there and do that work. And BMAA will have membership soon. We have membership surveys. It's under our membership page, blackmarketers.org/membership. That's there. Help us do better. Like, use your voice. Like, you're going to LinkedIn to use your voice. Use your voice for someone who's dedicating her time, because I still have a full-time job, but I'm still doing this for you. You are my number one stakeholder. I'm doing this. I told my board this before. I'm not doing this because I didn't expect expect this to become an org. I didn't expect certain things, but I'm doing this because you are my stakeholders. You are my people. You're my community. And that's who I care about. And that is who I want on my board. That is who I want around me. And I'm not saying you have to do the work of BMAA, but you have to do the work. I love the movie called Pay It Forward, and that's what this is about. This is what BMAA is all about. And if you really want to get involved, obviously you can hit me up. You can hit up anyone on my board. They'll be announced very soon on the site. But I just want to thank everybody again for being here. I know it's 8:30. I'm loving that you all were engaged in the chat. We have a survey we want you all to take. Then we also want to know if you want to see us again. I think we were pretty entertaining, ladies. And I might not say we're very educated. We're very knowledgeable. We Black Girl Magic, right? Tell us what y'all want to know, what you want to see. And next time I'm going to ask how many of y'all did your homework. So if you need to know your homework, I have it written out. Send an email. I can send it to you. Don't worry. So that's my last 2 cents. You need your homework? I got you.
We do have one last one. This is probably about being involved and being engaged in both the AAMA and the BMAA, because I'm, a person, especially being on the West Coast, being involved in both. So it's nice to have, relationships in Atlanta and ones in Houston. And it's talking about how can Black marketers find proper mentorship. And I think both of your organizations, there are people who want to be mentors or looking for someone that's like, you know what, I can guide you in whatever direction you're trying to go in. So both of your organizations can both address that mentorship that someone is looking for.
I will say this with mentorship. Mentor sounds good, but you need to know what you want in a mentor, right? So what are the qualities that you're looking for? What are the skill sets that you need to learn or that you already have? Once again, if you're a member, I got you. I'll do the best I can, but also leverage LinkedIn, reach out to people. I've had people just send me emails like, hey, can I mentor you? Because when you on top of your game, folks are going to find you, right? So don't wait. It's a two-way street. And I think that's another thing we've been saying all day. It's 2 ways to this. So make sure you're up to par, make sure you know what you're looking for, and keep doing work. Work begets work.
Also, I think it's important to know the difference between a mentor and a sponsor. A sponsor is somebody that goes to bat for you when you're not in a room. So you can usually find those sponsors. They usually are allies. Vanessa, the short answer to it, no, I don't think you pay for mentorship. That is a volunteer service. That's someone giving back. Again, that's paying it forward. So short answer, no, do not pay for a mentor. I will say we're going to work on that with BMAA. A part of that is when you sign up, when that launches in 2021, paid membership. So everything we offer right now is free if you want to be involved, but we're going to do like some membership packages. So be on the lookout. But if you're looking for a mentor, I've had people say, will you mentor me, Natalie? And I'm like, I don't really know what that means. And I've been mentors for 5 or 6 people, but they all turned out great. So we're going to go and see what happens. It's very flexible, but find you someone that's committed, has the time. No, I can't mentor people right now. I'm pretty sure I have 2 mentors that I need to call, but definitely know the difference between a mentor, a sponsor. A sponsor, like I said, is usually an ally who will go to bat for you. That's outside that room. You usually don't ask for a sponsor, they usually find you. So be conscious of that. And to Michelle's point, what do you want out of a mentor? And what are you bringing to that? Always figure out what your value is. As marketers, we're always needing to articulate our value. So do that.
Well, with that, ladies, I thank you for your time. This has been an awesome webinar with the state of Black marketers and actionable discussion. I'm sure that we left a lot of nuggets for people to take away with, especially the ones you had, Natalie. And it was posted in the chat, the survey. We want you to take the survey, give some feedback, let us know how things are going. Should we do this a part 2? Because Natalie's looking forward to everybody coming back and doing their homework. So
right, do your homework.
And we appreciate you taking your time and getting something from each one of these ladies and what they bring to the table. I applaud each and every one of you.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye.